Luck in New World is a dice roll. No, really. Rare materials, legendaries, quantities of items, etc. all boil down to a random number generator. And that's true for just about any game that does loot, and the idea behind a luck modifier isn't anything new either. That shouldn't sound at all shocking to anyone that's played a video game before that has loot tables and percentages, but the way that New World does it is a little confusing. Especially when you start looking into how luck works, and realizing that in some cases, in order to get what you're looking for, luck isn't just a buff, it is a requirement. If you are new to my channel or my content and you end up liking what you see here, I'd ask that you please consider subbing the channel, because we do this kind of stuff all the time. I want to give a huge shout out to Zio, the lead developer of nwdb.info, that was kind enough to take the time to explain some of this ultra involved and confusing stuff to me. Hopefully I do all of this some justice in trying to simplify the information that he gave me and provide you guys with some visual aids. Thank you so much for the help, my man. So all of this started with the New World database website found at nwdb.info and a conversation that I had with Sacriel, Grims, Anthony, and Fairlight and a lower level named boss mob, like Odious Bellum, for example, this level 40 big gator located out in the northwest corner of Weaver's Fen. If you look at the nwdb.info page for Odious Bellum, he has this massive loot table, as does a very large number of named boss mobs in the database and some normal ones to boot, 500 to 600 level gear score legendaries, and what's even more odd is this section over here where it says loot restrictions. Player level 57 plus and Forecastle Drift or Malevolence. Player level 57 plus is pretty straightforward, but this other one, well, there were some questions. If you do a search for Malevolence or Forecastle Drift in the database, you'll come to entries for missions given by your faction vendor and their associated areas. In the case of Forecastle Drift, if you're Covenant, there's a mission like to go there and kill mobs, locate treasure chests, or kill a named mob, for instance. And the same is true for Malevolence, but that one is in Eden Grove, where Forecastle Drift is in Reekwater. How it seems to appear on paper is that if you get a mission from one of these vendors, you go to the associated area and then clear it out, and this would unlock the ability for you to get these massively good legendary drops from any named mob in New World. So that would mean after doing the mission, then Odious Bellum would drop level 600 legendaries? No way. This sounds way too good to be true. And that's, well, because it is. What this database actually shows us is this massive loot pool is shared by every named mob in the game, along, again, with some other normal ones, but the loot pools are locked for most of them. The restrictions here are really the important thing to pay attention to. Now, I'm not sure why New World did this. For instance, this ridiculously good ring called Beginning. This says Forecastle Drift, player level 57 plus. This means that mobs located in Forecastle Drift will drop this legendary as long as the player is above level 57. To put it a different way, if Odious Bellum, this level 40 gator, were somehow located in Forecastle Drift, and if you killed him when you were over level 57, this would then be on his loot table. But he's not there. He's not in Forecastle Drift. He's not in Malevolence. The mobs that spawn there are. So what this means is you go there when you're above level 57, and you have the potential to drop these legendary items. Like I said, pay attention to the restriction of the area, not necessarily the mob's name. Boss mobs also have some like 15x multiplier on the likelihood of dropping a higher quality item, but of course, this then brings us to the next logical question. How does luck affect all of this? How does it work? What is it about? How lucky do I become when I wear luck gear? Does skill for things like mining affect things when it comes to gathering for my luck? Well, kind of. And all of this is done using a series of dice rolls, sometimes a lot of them, to determine different loot tables and whether or not drops are in multiples, etc. So for an example of this, I'm going to use something simple, like a mining iron node. Iron ore is easily mined by everyone with even just a flint pick. Starts off at level 0. If you've been playing New World at any point in the last week or so, you've probably seen or even maybe complained yourself about the lack of Fey iron that you'd find. Like, what gives? It's just some green level rarity metal that no one ever seems to get. Well, that's because you need luck. Really. See, there's affixes for gear in New World that grant luck, either generalized or specified. Like mining, for instance. 3.3, 4%, 8% luck when mining. Gathering skills like mining skill grants 0.1% luck per point, by the way. So 100 skill is 10%, 200 skill would be 20%. But what does that percentage actually mean? On to the visual aid. So when you collect from an iron ore node, you end up rolling a die that has 100,000 sides. To put it another way, the random number generated that is on this roll can be anywhere between 0 and 100,000. The loot table for iron has a ton of stuff on it. But what we want to focus on for this video are things like cobalt, which is used to make items that give mining luck, and of course then fey iron and void metal, which also drop from these nodes. This bar represents all of the numbers between 0 and 100,000. When you add luck to your character, this bar moves. See, there's a scale that also sits under this. The game represents luck as a numerical value. 1% luck is equal to 100 points. 10% luck is 1,000 points. 17% luck would be 1,700 points, which is what boiled potatoes give you when you eat them to increase your mining luck, which is why the tooltip reads this way. Added luck makes your lowest possible roll higher. So if I have 500 luck, the worst I can roll is a 500. 1,000 luck is 1,000, etc. This also shifts the highest possible roll even higher. So 500 luck means the highest possible roll is now 100,500. 1,000 luck would be 101,000, and so on. So the possible rolls are always 100,000 points in range, but the range shifts up this rarity line. So why am I explaining this? Well, some items in the game like fey iron, cobalt, and void metal, for example, require that you have a minimum amount of luck to allow you to possibly loot them. See, on this scale, which I realize is not to scale, how our max possible roll is below these two thresholds at the start. For fey iron, you must have at least 10% luck, or a max potential roll of 101,000 in order to roll for it, which shifts our bar from 0 to 100k up to 1,000 to 101,000, which is what fey iron requires. For void metal, you have to have at least 14.5% luck, or a max potential roll of 101,450 between your gear and mining skill points in order to roll for it, which shifts again this total 100,000 potential bar up further. But this actually gets weirder. You notice on the bar there's these colored zones. Well, if you have enough luck to unlock getting the rare stuff, you then have to roll in the right range, represented by these colored areas. If you roll less than 85k, you get onto the fey iron and void metal table and then roll to see if you get any. If you roll greater than 85,000, you get to roll for cobalt. If you roll greater than 95,000, you get to roll for gems. So if you're paying attention to this, you notice something odd. The more luck you have, the less likely you are to get fey iron and void metal, because the range of possible success shrinks as you stack luck in this case. On the opposite end, the range increases for things like gemstones, so you have to kind of gauge your character according to what you're targeting if you're trying to target something specific in some cases. Now, these thresholds aren't something that has been publicly shared because, as you can clearly see, these things are a bit complex to understand. For now, and until NWDB decides to share them, there's an icon next to the items on the loot table listings for those items that require luck in order to get them. So I hope, at least at some level, this video was beneficial for you guys. If you have any other concepts in the game that you'd like me to look at, or if you have any other questions regarding them, leave a comment, and I'll be happy to look into it. Thanks for checking this out, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.